Hello and welcome to the fourth tutorial key point video for W201. We started as usual by a review of key points arising from the former TMA. Really three general points arising from that. The first is answer the question set, not the question that you'd have liked to have faced. Very important exams. A lot of students who end up failing fail because they've answered what they want to talk about rather than what the examiner is asking for them. Secondly, make sure that any points that you make are relevant to the question. Now sometimes you may think, well, is it relevant or isn't it? Think that one through, and if you think it's relevant, then tell the examiner, the marker, why it's relevant. Thirdly, focus on the key points. In your preparation for any TMA, you know that you've got a limited number of words. You need to identify what the key points that you want to get across in that answer and develop your arguments around these. We spent most of the tutorial looking at some exercise, discussing problem questions and coming up both with points arising from discussion and some answers. And this really is going to be the focus from now on as we move into criminal law. Yes, there are some important key points, and I will continue in these tutorial key point videos to draw out the key points for discussion. But the tutorials are going to be concentrating a lot now on looking at typical questions, former TMA questions, exam questions, and problem solving, because that's central to criminal law. And you need to be able to look at a set of facts, draw out the key points, answer the question by solving the problem that's there. So we'll be doing lots more of that in the tutorials themselves. I did make some points about criminal law. Key things to be thinking about are, first of all, what do we mean by a crime? That definition is so important. It's something which is legally sanctioned. It's which, if you break the rule, then some form of sanction, it may be a traditional punishment such as jail or a fine, but there may be other sanctions there. Go back to what you've done before and contrast criminal law and how it's treated and civil law. Very important question to think about. What role should criminal law play in regulating society? There are some people who take the view that the only way to get people to do anything is by criminalising it. So if you don't like practices that people have, you argue for making it a criminal offence. And we've seen in recent decades a number of new offences created. Well, why? What are the objectives of making something an offence which will be punishable, rather than dealing with it as a matter of dispute between individuals or other means of trying to persuade people to change their behaviour? Thirdly, look carefully at the classification of offences. Burden of proof. Very important. The burden is on the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, the standard. There are occasions where the law may slightly change that, in that if certain things are proved, a defendant then has the burden on him. But the general principle is that the burden is on the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt what they are asserting. The actus reus and the mens rea, and in the first few weeks of criminal law you're going to be looking at some more of the deeper problems involved in that. If you did W200, you had a taster for it. This goes into greater depth and looks at some of the problem issues, which, as I say, is why in tutorials we're going to be concentrating now on working in groups and solving problems. And after introducing those key points about criminal law, we did some exercises on omissions and causation. I said something about the upcoming tutorial. It's a judicial review problem. The handout that I sent, and I will send again, about the steps that need to be considered. If you go through those steps, apply the law, give some good cases as an example to illustrate and also sometimes direct an answer. So go through those steps. Is the body whose decision is being challenged susceptible to judicial review? Is it a public body or public law issue? Secondly, does the person bringing the complaint have standing? Thirdly, what time limits apply? Is it the general time limits, in which case you do need to put those down, or are there specific shorter time limits which the legislation says, in which case, as long as they're reasonable, they will apply? Fourthly, is there an ouster clause? And do have a look at anisminic and do read around that case. What are the grounds of challenge? This is going to be the major part of it. What kind of labels can you find that have been used to describe a particular form of wrong decision taking? And do any of those labels apply? You'll find them in the charts which are in the manual. And then finally, address the issue of any remedies. So that's it for this tutorial key point video. Look forward to you if you can make it to the next tutorial. And as I say, from now on, it's going to be a lot of practical sitting down and answering those problems. But I'll still be doing these tutorial key point videos, drawing out the key issues on the topic. Thank you.